Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice. And I am from the likes of the Mexi Toys videos, as you probably already know me, ever since in Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 Let's Play that we've already done since about a couple of days ago now. So here we are onto the forms of, let's just say, we're finally going on to the forms of Sonic Frontiers for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and finally the Nintendo Switch. Now originally, I was expecting to try to do this game during at some point in summer, specifically in July, but I figured that I felt might as well able to go back into the Sonic the Hedgehog of all things, because after all, the 32nd birthday of Sonic the Hedgehog, myself included, will eventually become 32 years old during at some point until in June. So I figure I'm also able to tackle for Sonic Frontiers from now on, so as a result, I'm really looking forward to able to playing this game, especially that I play hours and hours non-stop on the Nintendo Switch version. Well, mind you, I've got some progressioning on the Xbox One version, and as a result, I had a lot of fun with the game. So even then, as you can tell from the actual quality standpoint, I'm going to be playing it on the PlayStation 4 version because, well, let's just say, similar to the forms of how it does it in Sonic Colors Ultimate, basically though is about the fact I feel like I was going to be tackling for the PlayStation 4 version anyway. So either way, so yeah, let's get to it with Sonic Frontiers for the PS4 version most likely, because you know, you recognize that button icons you see on the main menus and stuff like that. So as you can see, before you start the game, there is actually easy, normal, or hard mode. So I think that the biggest differences between these three difficulties, aside from one extra difficulty, thanks to the free update thing, and basically though, I'll explain more details about that. So as you can tell, I'm going on hard mode, and also there is also the forms of the action mode, alongside with the forms of high speed mode or something like that. Even though it's been a very long while since I actually have last played Sonic Frontiers, but anyway, let's begin.
Uploading AI program now.
It's all coming online. The ancient secrets will be mine. Status report. Answer me!
Simulations complete. Executing protective initiative.
What? No! No!
Starfall Islands.
How exciting!
You tracked the Chaos Emeralds here, right? Let's find out what drew them here.
Some kind of atmospheric charge. Hang
well, it looks like we're getting sucked up by the Fonzless Vortex stuff, and as a result, it leads us back in Green Hill Zone for some reason, which I know about the fact that a lot of people are getting sick of the Fonzler Green Hill Zone pretty much reused a lot these days. Although, ultimately speaking though, about the fact that, as you can tell, that the level layouts might felt a bit familiar to you. And as a result, this is where we introduce into ourselves the cyberspace segments. And basically, no matter what though, that it actually heavily borrows the level layout based off from Sonic Unleashed for some reason. Specifically on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions, most likely, because I can definitely tell that they are pretty much one-to-one spot on for the actual level layout, although what I've noticed about the fact that the level itself is actually once again pretty short, although that about the fact that it does kind of reminds me of a similar problem I have from the likes of the forms of Sonic Forces, which again, we'll discuss more details about that in a moment, because as you can tell, we actually got ourselves the A rank to start off with, and because of that, the reason why I have to replay the level again, because, as you can tell, it does have level objectives, apparently. So as a result, some of them contain, like, completing a cyberspace level as normal, and the other one requires you to able to get all of the red star rings, as you can tell. That it plays pretty much exactly like the Fonz Valley does it on the past Sonic games, as far as this is concerned. And on top of that, you need to collect a certain amount of rings, and finally, you need to able to get an S rank in your fastest time. So because of this though, and as you can tell, I somehow managed able to pull off a nice little S rank run for the likes of level 1-1 for one of the cyberspace segment levels. So as a result, yeah, in addition to that though, about the fact that I think we're most able to get the trophy for that matter though, because again, I'm playing on the PlayStation 4 version, if you couldn't tell what that particular notification pop up. So as a result, again, pretty similar to the Fonz of how it does in Sonic Colors Ultimate, that this is the version I haven't touched upon a lot. So because of that, and hopefully I'll get my opportunities to able to actually just to play, you know, the PS4 version more often, because obviously about the fact that, well, you know, as I said before, that I've played a lot of it on the Switch version, despite the Switch version feels a bit rough around the edges, which again, I'll point things out until whenever we get to the later portion of the game. So even then, no, everything else will be pretty much accounted for the sake of time. So, and I apologize for that particular uploading schedule, feels a bit slightly, delayed a bit, but that's just because I'm having a lot of computer program problems yet again. Although the noticeable difference is this time is that it keeps crashing my program. So because of that though, feels a bit stingy on my part right there, but either way. But as soon as you complete all those missions, as you can see, we're able to get the vault keys apparently, and god dang it, I have to wait for that? Oh jeez, this can take a while.
20 minutes later.
Oh jeez, I hate when that happens, especially because I was really looking forward to able to dive right into the actual Sonic Frontiers game for real, but next thing you know, I can assure to you, in all the existence on the PlayStation 4 version and the Xbox One version, I think so anyway, that we have to wait for a certain amount of time in order to able to dive right in. So yeah, after about roughly 20 or so minutes, we can finally dive right into Sonic Frontiers for reals. So, but either way, I think that's what I can say about it. So either way, I'll talk more details about this though, but first off, we got a cutscene to watch.
Tails? Amy? Oh. Whew. Looks like I'm the only one who made it out of that. Whatever it was. Whew.
Mortal,
Ugh. Hello?
you have done the impossible. You have escaped cyberspace through your own power. You are the key.
Key, huh? Sure beats being called a rodent. Are you saying I can rescue my friends?
Find the Chaos Emeralds. Destroy the Titans. Tear down the walls between dimensions.
Yeah, okay, sure. How about a little context? Hello? Oh well. Some direction is better than none. Here we go.
Alright, so let's get to it. So of course we're able to start things off with a tutorial segment for the beginning portion of the game, just to get used to with the controls, like for instance with the camera controls in Journey forms of, let's just say, the best part of the game until for later. And of course we can able to set those options if you want able to get a lot more customizable things here and there. So as a result, like for instance, we can able to actually set the amount of settings into like running speed or something like that. Again, it's been a very long while since actually I've played this game, so because of that though, because I'm pretty much used to playing the you know what I mean, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and all that stuff. In fact, kind of thinking about it though, that, again, I'll explain more details about this as soon as we're able to continue proceedings for this playthrough. So because of that though, yeah, for the most part though, about the fact that I'm actually going to be setting all of those movesets into max level, so just in case I'm going to be the fastest thing alive when it comes to exploring multitude of stuff. Especially noticeable about the fact that I've played this game for quite some time, on the Switch version and the Xbox One version on my spare own time, and then what's even great is that the Switch version did run quite well, even though despite the graphics might look a bit rough around the edges on the Switch version, mind you, and at the very least you can able to actually play the game on the go as well, so at least that's something I suppose. So either way though, there's not much right to home about the options menu, so let's just dive right in, shall we? So either way, we actually come across into ourselves these weird things, as you can see on screen. So because of that though, in fact, kind of think about it, with those little like cyberspace little things right there, they kind of reminds me of something related to shrines from not only from Breath of the Wild, but also with the forms of Tears of the Kingdom as well. Well, mind you about the fact that we've barely just got started with Sonic Frontiers right now, so we'll just essentially try to able to continue exploring for this anyway. So, now of course we need to able to activate those switches, because I think something tells me once we're able to deal with this puzzle, basically we're able to activate something. So for instance, we've activated all 3 of those switches, so every time when you see those question mark icons, as you can see, not only does it give you something rewarding, but also it actually reveals some bits of the map. So either way though, so here we are onto Kronos Island, okay? So yeah, completing challenges is that you get able to, you know what I mean about the fact that you can able to see what's up ahead for your map. So that's basically how this game plays out to be, so of course we can able to actually explore some other parts here and there, because this game is more likely concerning this to be the open zone game, because I almost assume it's going to be an open world, but as it turns out it's open zone instead. So even then though, because this game actually has some similarities as the forms of not only The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but also with the forms of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom as well. However, unlike the forms of how it does in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, that the entire world is massive and wide open, like it's all open world and everything, to able to explore the rest of Hyrule, including by the forms of some areas throughout the game. But usually, relatively speaking, you can able to do whatever the heck you want to go to. So as a result of that kind of stuff though, that probably explains how this game is pretty similar for that regard. Although, mind you about the fact, no matter what though, that well, at this point in time, is that I think I might as well take a break on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom for a short amount of time, just because, well, I've already gone about 30 hours into it though, which is quite impressive all things considered, especially because right now I'm actually onto the halfway point in terms of my heart containers I actually got, like out of like 40 or something like that. Spoiler alert for those who have not played the game yet, I do apologize for this point folks, but either way, I just want to classify for something. So either way, let's just go ahead and do some simple homing attacks and stuff like that. So of course, the Sonic moveset plays out pretty much exactly like the forms of most of those modern Sonic games nowadays. Like, you can still able to perform, let's just say, the forms of well, you know what I mean about the homing attack and all that stuff. But the biggest difference is, for this point right here, is that you have to wait until the lock-on cursor radical shows up, and that way you can able to homing attack into some other things. So either way, oh geez, what's up with those guys? So this is what the another main mechanic of this entire game, and that's what appears to be returning combat. However, the biggest difference is this time that, unlike the forms of how it does it in Sonic Unleashed, that we basically turn into Sonic the Werehog when it comes to doing a lot of combat, and also we don't have to worry about this particular repeated jazzy music with the battle theme, because that theme is actually getting pretty repetitive nowadays. And on top of that, unlike in Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, that the combat is very simplistic, and on top of that, it's pathetically easy when it comes to dealing with all these enemies in mind. Whilst in here though, I feel like about the fact that the combat is actually quite satisfying. Well, unless if you do need to able to learn some more skills and all that stuff, because as you can tell, that we actually got ourselves the forms of some interesting UIs and all that stuff, which I'll explain more details about that as soon as we're able to actually continue proceeding for this for the most part. So, speaking of which though, since this is on the PlayStation 4 version after all, it looks really dang good. Oh, and by the way, you can also utilize the light speed dash if you wanted to, but I'll explain more details in a moment, because here we have the first of one of those Guardians that we have to take down, and this what appears to be known as the Ninja. So basically all you have to do is basically you have to wait until when he finishes his attack, and basically you have to do a ridiculous button mashing and an occasional pray, because obviously it feels very similar to the forms of how it does it for Flurry Rush, from the likes of not only The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but also with, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and on top of that, with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. However though, you can able to actually pray the actual attack back at the forms of one of those Guardians. So, but either way, once we're done with that, we can now able to proceed to the next area. So either way, and every time whenever you do manage to defeat one of those Guardians, basically we get ourselves one of those special collectibles that is only accessible once you're able to actually access to other cyberspace segments. And because of that, we got ourselves a portal gear, and basically that allows you to able to unlock certain you know what I mean, cyberspace segments for time to time, which again, we'll explain more details about that. Plus, I already know about this game since when I played this game on the Switch, countless amount of hours into it, especially as a good thing I managed to play the game on the go in the process during that time. So either way though, so let's just go ahead and deal with this another puzzle right here. Excuse me, I've got something in my throat there, guys. I do apologize for this point, folks. So, yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your first impressions of the forms of playing Sonic Frontiers? Either on the Xbox systems, or the PlayStation 4 or 5, or potentially speaking with PC, and most notably the Nintendo Switch. So, I'd like to hear your thoughts of, when you first experienced this game, that you do enjoy it, and you might able to consider this saying you should probably able to recommend this easily. Well, mind you, I'll explain more details about this and during that specific points worth noting for. Now, some people seem to say that this game feels a bit more better than the forms of how it does in Sonic Forces, because usually for Sonic Forces though, it just feels kind of uninspired with all that particular, like a lack of originality with all that level themes in mind, and also the story itself just feels a bit, I don't know, weak for that regard. But I'm pretty sure I'm a little bit optimistic when it comes to the forms of how the plot is actually going to be functioned for. And this is where we come across into ourselves the first ability we can learn, and that's what appears to be Psy-Loop. And Psy-Loop is the most important aspect when it comes to dealing with not only with certain puzzles coming up, but also during the forms of the majority of the combat. So because of this though, yeah, you probably see what I mean. And during at some point, whenever we continue proceeding for this. And believe me, this is going to be by far the longest Sonic game we're most able to consider playing through. Especially about the fact that I don't think there's any point that we'll decide to do a special event coming up during the forms of in August, because I think we'll have to save that special event until, when it comes to doing the Mexi Toys Let's Plays, until October, for a special occasion of mine. So either way, now of course we can able to learn some more moves eventually, so either way though, we'll go ahead and, oh, by the way, with those little icons right there, that could be important until whenever we continue proceeding to the story. So as you can see, we come across into Phantom Rush, including Sonic Boom, and especially noticeable with Air Trick, which basically functions pretty much exactly like the forms of Sonic Generations when it comes to pulling off certain tricks if you come across into those ramps and all that stuff. So, Yeah, that's essentially how this works. Now, the thing is with the Lightspeed Dash in this game, in order to be able to actually activate that move, you have to press the, I would say the left analog stick or the right analog stick, I'm pretty sure, because it seems kind of weird able to learn that move with that obscure button placement, because I almost assumed I'm pretty much used to with, the separate button from the likes of not only from Sonic Unleashed, but also with Sonic Generations as well, because usually it's always located on a separate button, like a pressable button, you know, with the Y button for instance, or the triangle button depending on what version you're playing, and basically though, I'm pretty much accustomed to that. So it seems pretty weird and able to actually learn that particular ability with the right, clickable stick. So, yeah, it seems kind of strange. So, but anywho though, and as you can tell about the fact that there's also another collectible we did somehow obtain, and that's what appears to be known as the memory tokens, which, kind of think about it though, that they are plentiful around here, especially that if you know exactly where they are, then basically you pretty much guaranteed able to restore something later down the road. So, but either way though, there's not much else to tell at this point, especially because, well again, this is a tutorial part, so we'll definitely get to the fun part for reals until possibly by that time until on Friday, because if you couldn't tell already, is that today's date of course is the 31st of May, in this case in 2023 today, and it looks like that tomorrow that June is approaching. So because of that though, I'm pretty excited about the films of the June month, although despite the fact that we still have no idea what Nintendo is planning up next. So because of that though, well aside from the fact that the new Mario Kart Tour event just recently came up, which I'll explain more details about that at some point on Friday, so yeah, that's the highest I can usually think about it. And unfortunately though, if you couldn't tell already, I come across into my first step of the playthrough when it did say try again, similar to the forms of how it does it not only in Sonic Lost World, but also with the forms of Sonic Forces as well, which that was probably my mistake. So anyway, despite the fact that I somehow interrupted the forms of that conversation from earlier ago, well, that's just because as you can see, we come across into that particular another portal right there. And let's go ahead and insert one of those portal gears. Now it did say we need to acquire 2 of these things because 1 isn't enough. So because of that, we need to find another Guardian to able to actually get ourselves on yet another portal gear. So where can that possibly be exactly? Well, as soon as we're able to actually skip for this particular dialogue, well, assuming of course we pretty much know exactly what to expect. Excuse me, I got something in my throat there. I really need to sort this out at this point, guys. Well, as I say, until possibility, until likely on Friday. So either way, and yeah, we come across into a Tower Guardian. So because of that, we need to take him down before we're able to actually access to yet another portal thing right there. So either way, and there is also the way you can able to dodge Guardian's attacks if you wanted to. But either way though, let's just go ahead and just beat the lifestyle of the forms of the Tower Guardian, and just like the forms of how it does it in most modern Sonic games, since during the forms of Sonic Heroes during the Dreamcast era, basically enemies once again have some rocking health bars and all that stuff. Although, relatively speaking though, that if you manage to able to use that particular technique as you see, basically we can deal with the ridiculous amount of combo if you desire. So, but either way though, that's essentially how this works. So, but either way though, there's also another thing I should probably discuss upon things as well, that, I think I should probably save that conversation once we get to on Friday, as I said before. Especially about the fact that we actually getting very close to June right now. So because of that though, there goes the Tower Guardian. So because of that, we can now get ourselves the yet another portal gear. So that was our second one so far. So even then though, pretty swell I might add. So either way, now let's go ahead and insert the portal gear onto the actual portal thing itself. But before we do that, let me go ahead and explore for this particular area right here. So that way we can able to get ourselves another memory token. So but either way, although there's actually multiple ways you can able to actually get the memory tokens in certain spots. Although mind you about the fact that now if you guys are probably wondering that unfortunately though I haven't exactly got my free DLC updates for the sake of DLC number 1 just yet. Well, at least hopefully by that time until specifically next week or so, then I should be able to actually access to DLC number 1. Well, to be more specifically, free DLC 1, so that way I can able to discuss upon what contents that they got. Well, I'm sure that we've already explained about that since in Journey Forms have been, let's just say in March or something, but either way, let's just go and tackle through the next cyberspace level, and this time we're going on to level 1-2, so either way, I'm curious to know what the level theme is going to be like. But yeah, trying to able to go in these little portal stuff, it always kind of reminds me of these shrines from both, you know, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, essentially. So, anyway, so let's see what level theme we go into, and this looks familiar because it appears to be taking place in Sky Century Zone since in Sonic Generations because of the reused assets. And on top of that, the level layout is basically based off from Windmill Isle Act 2. From the likes of Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360/PlayStation 3. And also, I will admit though right away, I really do enjoy this music theme. It's actually called Flow, because obviously we're flowing to the light. Like, that's what the local vocals is actually going to be represented for. And this is what I feel like about the fact that this is without a doubt is the hardest S rank to get in the entire game. At least for some people already come across into that. Because, well, just watch, and you see what I mean. Especially because about the fact that I'm doing quite okay, except the fact that, well, obviously ever since in Sonic Unleashed, Colors, Generations, and Sonic Forces, the boost feature does return though, but I'll explain more details on that once we get into the forms of back in Chronos Island. So as you can tell, yeah, did that run seem pretty seamless, like it could have been improved whatsoever? Well, according to the game, it could, because I just achieved a B rank time. Well, usually I did most of those missions quite fine, except with the actual S rank time. So yes, this is what I mean about the fact that this is the hardest S rank to get in Sonic Frontiers, because in order to able to get the S rank in level 1-2 when it comes to cyberspace level in Sonic Frontiers, you need to be so perfect, and you need to able to go through microseconds for the actual boost and the amount of timing you have to put up with. Even though the level itself wasn't all that long, because obviously it has the exactly similar issue as in the forms of the majority of the level design from the likes of Sonic Forces, the majority of the cyberspace levels are very, very short. Even though it does have a whole bunch of those cyberspace levels later down the road, but then again though, we'll get to more details onto that though if we somehow manage to get this very stingy S rank during the forms of this particular run, because my goodness, you have to be so precise and also perfect on it at the same time. I could imagine about the fact that a lot of players seem to have a lot of trouble with getting that particular stingy S rank, because whenever I managed to play this on the Switch version during the forms of it day 1, for love of God, that took me about 30 tries to be able to actually get that godforsaken S rank on that particular cyberspace level. I mean seriously, that is the most stingiest thing I've ever encountered. Especially it doesn't help about the fact that the boost itself is nowhere near as effective anymore compared to the forms of how it does it when it's used to be, from not only in Sonic Unleashed, Colors, Generations, and Forces, that normally when you're trying to boost, you're able to actually just do like, be invincible while you're in boosting, while you simply dash through a lot of enemies and all that stuff to be able to make things a little bit more comfortable for you, and thus you get tons of speed in the process. Whilst in here though, the actual dash effect is gonna be completely gone. So as a result, instead, it just does like a traditional like, boost gauge, which it feels kind of similar to the stamina meter, not only from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but also with Tears of the Kingdom, and on top of that with Skyward Sword as well, that basically the more you use the boost, obviously the meter will start to drain a bit, so... And you see why whenever we get to the later parts of the forms of Chronos Island. So as you can tell, we've now got ourselves even more vault keys, and basically what you can use with them is that we can able to get one of the Chaos Emeralds. So yes, Chaos Emeralds does return at long last after the events of Sonic Generations. So because of that, well, it's been like roughly about 11 years in between both Sonic Generations and Sonic Frontiers when it comes to the Chaos Emerald's storytelling, because obviously, unlike in Sonic Lost World and Sonic Forces, completely ignoring the forms of the Chaos Emerald's story plot progression. So because of that though, I just have no idea why that with those two games somehow retconned the actual Super Transformation storytelling for the sake of the forms of the Chaos Emerald's lore. So because of that though, I just have no idea why. Well, aside from the fact that you can still get the Chaos Emeralds during the course of in Sonic Lost World if you so much you're trying to go after those godforsaken red star rings in Sonic Lost World on the Wii U version, and on top of that with the forms of the PC version as well, don't forget. And on top of that, there's also the free DLC for Super Sonic and Sonic Forces, which is for bragging rights, I suppose, for both modern Sonic and classic Sonic, presumably. So, I'm just really expecting that Sonic Frontiers doesn't seem to able to bring back classic Sonic anymore, just because of the forms of the fact that despite how the fact that, well, classic Sonic is now returned to the forms of the Minion universe, when it comes to the forms of, well, it's a bit tricky to explain because it's been quite a few days ago since I actually have last played Sonic Mania. Well, specifically Sonic Mania Plus for not only the digital version on the Switch version, well, despite I still managed to get myself my physical copy just in case if my, you know what I mean, if my save data got corrupted or anything else like that, so. But anywho though, so yeah, I think that's as far as I can think about for the sake of time, folks. But then again, I would have liked able to mention something else for that matter though, but then again, we'll save that conversation once we get to the later portion of Sonic Frontiers, because still, I'm pretty excited able to actually check this game out. Especially because, well, again, I was originally trying to able to do this at some point in June, or potentially July for the second half of the year. But as it turns out, I feel like I was going to do this anyway, so. Although originally I was expecting to try to do Warrior Land the Shake Dimension, but because we've already done WarioWare Smooth Moves during the forms within April, so I don't feel like trying to able to dive right into the next Wario game after that. So that can probably wait and during at some point in the future, because, well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens in due time, especially because, well, I'm just pretty dang excited to able to actually just to play this game for you guys, especially about the fact that I'm watching a lot of playthroughs of this game, especially that, well, much like the forms within Sonic, let's just say Sonic Generations, Sonic Forces, and anything else like that, including Sonic Lost World as well. This game still does have mods for PC version, so just I'm sure you might be curious to check out some insane mods for the likes of the forms of Sonic Frontiers. Like, I do know there is a Klonoa mod, as well as the forms of the Mario mod, and on top of that with other mods for that matter though, but I haven't exactly fully double checked on the actual mods community list so far. But that's just because about the fact that so far I'm actually very impressed with this so far, so. And from here we get ourselves the first Chaos Emerald. So as a result, much like the forms of how it does in the usual Sonic fruition, basically we still need to get about 7 Chaos Emeralds, which this time around though, we might consider trying to get all the Chaos Emeralds on the very beginning portion of the game. And you'll see why, as soon as we're able to continue proceeding for this. So, yeah, then again though, that I was expecting to try to explain something else for this point more. But I will say for this point, that recently today, that when I go back to Mario Kart Tour again, I was very surprised and happy to see Daisy Circuit to make a comeback in Journey forms within Mario Kart Tour, despite I still didn't like the game that much because, you know, the controls are still bad, and on top of that, well, you probably already know what I mean. So with that being said though, we got the endings of this point right here, so join me next time for more of Let's Play of Sonic Frontiers, for the PlayStation 4 version most likely. Is that we're going to be continuing exploring through Kronos Island and check out all kinds of stuff. And maybe potentially trying to check out some more cyberspace levels here and there as well. Assuming of course if we get some more portal gears. So I'll see you guys until on Friday. Later fellas.